Beautiful piece. So this belonged to Benjamin Butler?
Yep, this is one of 12 that he ordered.
This is a Gatling gun.
It's a revolving battery gun made by Dr. Gatling. Wasn't known as a Gatling gun until Colt bought the patents in about 1873. He bought the patent for the gun, and it was known as Gatling's gun for so long they just dropped the S and went to Gatling. And that's where it got its name at. But it was a revolving battery gun. And this is kind of Farby. Don't watch me.
Oh, okay. Is this was this gun actually used?
Yes. Made it to one battle, Petersburg. And it was all over with.
So this actually killed Confederates?
I would imagine. And one of them 12 guns that he had went on loan to New York City for the draft riots up there. And they killed some people up there too. So
shot at Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's been around.
Gangs in New York. Absolutely gorgeous piece. Now, how did you come by this baby?
My partner, his great-great-grandfather, worked at a scrapyard down in Norfolk, Virginia. It was already off the carriage, and from here up, all the steel was still intact, and 2 of the barrels were missing. All the bronze was already scrapped off of it. The only original piece of bronze that was still on this gun, we got it, was right there. So the rest of this, he bought it for $1.25 scrap price.
And $1?
$1.25 scrap price for the scrap steel, and he packed it in grease and put it up in the attic. 2 generations later, a machinist was born with big pockets. And there you go. He managed to find an owner of a fully original gun through the NRA, and went and spoke through the NRA and got in contact with this man to see his fully original gun, and got the rest of the drawing specs to put the carriage and all the rest of the boxes and everything together to make it perfect. And it is.
Wow.
This makes cleanup so easy.
I wonder how many of these they were actually made all together.
What?
Little papers.
If it's only 3 of them, go ahead and just pack it and put them on top. We'll run it through first. We ain't worried about 3 pieces of paper.
So I wonder how many of these were made all together.
Of this design, over 283 or something like that. The second type, when they went with the clip in top, well, you see them in all the movies.
Yeah.
They were lousy. Only 25 of them went through because it wasn't a clip, it was a tray. And as soon as you put your fingers out, same thing. All this was moved over a little bit further and cut and closed off. So you moved your fingers and you dropped that tray in there. The first one stovepipe, you had to break this gun apart to get in it. It was a lousy design because they didn't figure out how a clip actually works, where there'd be a unlocking mechanism to slide it in and do that. So that gun didn't last very long. And then when the third version, they finally did come out with the clips, and they came out with brass shells for it, and then they had multi-clips on a big rotating drum where 2 men had to lift it on and off the gun to do it.
Wow.
Put that back in there.
So this has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 barrels.
Yep.
And it's
all
fed.
Rifled.
They're all rifled?
Yes.
Let me do a night shot here.
Rifled.
I'll do a zoom up and night shot here. Take a look at the rifle.
It had 3 different kinds of rounds for it. It had your case shot, or buck and ball, as anybody else would know it, was 9 30 caliber balls with a 58 on top, a 10 round shot for close range. And it had another one for 500 yards out to 1,000 yards, and then it had another shot for 1,000 out to 2,000 yards enfiladed fire. Meaning enfiladed fire, by the time I shoot all 6 of them barrels, I will hit you with one of them.
Now the barrel casing here spins?
Yes, everything spins. The whole inside of this turns. So all the way back into here, there's a big locking gear, and it spins, and there's cams. On this piece here, it looks like a roller coaster. And that roller coaster, as the firing pins ride up the roller coaster, they tighten it up, and then when they hit the hump, they blow.
Uh-huh.
Dad, can I spin it?
Huh? No, we're going to give a chance for... You spun it quite a few times. We have some new people here that ain't shot it.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
And we're going to let everybody take a little turn at it.
Really?
Can I take a turn?
Including me?
Can I have a turn?
Becky, I'm letting these new people get used to the gun, all right? Time is it?
How are you today, sir?
All right. The revolving battery gun we have here was tested at the Naval Proving Grounds against 6 12-pound Napoleons shooting single canister, which is 150 rounds of 69 caliber balls per canister, against 6 guns for 30 minutes straight. In that time, the revolving battery gun put over 637 rounds on target for 30 minutes straight against the Napoleon 12-pounders that put over 430 rounds per minute on target. It beat 6 cannons out. This one gun was meant to replace, and did. Wow. Replaced the full crews. So a 9-man crew on this one gun replaced 6 of them with their 9-man crews.
Great heavens. And your name, sir, is?
My name is First Lieutenant Louis Two Guns, they call me. My real name is Louis Robleski. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
All right. You're going to fire your gun for us this evening.
Yes, we are. Just
All
waiting a couple more minutes here. We're starting to get a group together, and we're going to light her off. For an old girl, she still runs very fine.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Stays in there for a quarter turn, and then it's dropped out. So all that heat that's built up in them chambers is dropped completely out of the gun. You can fire 200 rounds through here, put your hands right on them. The barrels are warm. They don't get hot. Because the rest of the time, it's doing a stovepipe effect, pulling air from underneath through the barrels.
I didn't really know that.
Can you turn that crank for me?
That's heavy duty.
Okay. And that will definitely take your fingers off.
Yes, it will. It has no mercy. And I imagine a lot of gun crews had their fingers corrected. No doubt in my mind. The second version, when they did the clip, it wasn't actually a clip, it was a tray. And when they put it in there, the problem was you moved your fingers and you shoved that tray in there. The first one with stovepipe, the gun's jammed. It's no good. You got to disassemble this to get that jammed piece out. Where these, you just back it off, you reach, you pull it out. Tell the people to cease fire, back off a little bit, unjam it, and keep on going. That, like I said, that gun only was about 25 of them guns made. There was 200, over 280 of these made of this one. Mostly it was in the Western Theater. A lot of it was on the paddle boats and hardened bunkers, stuff like that. It wasn't put out in the field. They didn't want it in the field. The generals thought it was too hideous and they couldn't get men to march up against it. It only made it to one battle, and that was Petersburg. Butler's guns made it there one time, and that was it. That was game over. So basically, this was used for the supply lines on the ferry boats. Instead of having 20 men on that boat shooting at the people rowing up trying to take the boat over, you put one of these up there, 2 guys, cases of shells all around them. This will definitely outrun a rowboat. It'll take them all out. It used it at hardened lead. It had tin added to it, and that tin used. The way they were using it, it would go through double railroad ties.
How many
Lord.
bullet could shoot a minute?
Huh? 630 rounds, 637 rounds at the Naval Proving Yards down there. It was tested against 6 12-pound Napoleons and outshot them. Put more lead on target. They were using single canister, 150 rounds in a can, 6 guns against this one. They were putting 430 on target to 637 rounds on target for 30 minutes consecutively.
How'd you come across that gun?
This is my buddy's gun. His great-great-grandfather used to work at a scrapyard down in Norfolk, Virginia. Found it in the scrap pile, bought it for $1.25 scrap, and wrapped it up and put it up in the closet. 2 generations later, a machinist had a deep pocket, and he finished the gun. It was the only thing that was left was this big steel plate here that it's sitting on. Up. All the brass is all gone. It was already scrapped out. The only piece that was left was right here, and 2 barrels were missing. But all the inner mechanics was there. And all he had to do was build the rest of it. Well, he hooked up with NRA, and they knew a man that has a fully original gun. And once they figured out he wasn't kidding, that he had parts of the gun that he wanted to put together, they got in touch with each one and got them together, and he took all the drawings off the other gun and then fully restored this one.
That's something, man. I'm just curious. That's something.
Now, can you explain those shells? Let me get a close-up on those. You picked
The
one of
shells, well, see, these are not historically correct. These are what I use.
Okay.
They're not 58 caliber. They're underboard, so nobody can shove any lead or anything in there where we're not looking and actually fire something down. We're actually using shotgun primers.
shells.
This one ain't loaded, but we put a shotgun primer in the back to keep the back of this gun clean, because they originally had nipples, just like your black powder rifles. Same exact thing. You put a nipple on the back, you greased them, you put them in, but it made a heck of a mess of the gun. When these guns got fired, they got fired every single day. You fired half your ammunition every single day, whether or not you went to a battle, to keep all your ammunition good shape. So this was a workhorse. That 9-man crew lived this gun, and then you had 20, 30 troopers come in and clean them shells that you shot, repack them all, and put them all back in the boxes and be ready for the next day. So this would be a hard working gun.
Now, how much powder is in one of those?
Man, I wouldn't want to do that, would you?
That is basically, we're using about the same as you'd use in your 44 pistols, black powder pistols. It's basically the same measure for them.
Okay.
But I mean, the loads that they had, you had a multi-loading system, and we were shooting outwards over 2,000 yards inflated fire with this thing. In other words, the first barrel won't hit you, but if you roll this, by the time you roll them 6 barrels around, it will hit you.
Well, I figured that.
You're done, man.
Huh?
You're done at that point.
Yep, you're done. That's it.
What's the range on this thing?
Set inflated fire for 2,000 yards and out further. It'll go further than that. Inflated fire, 6 rounds, it'll hit something. I mean, you probably go around 2,500 and still be kicking up dust, and you can leave it in. I mean, you see the dirt right now.
Like a kind of cannon.
So it rotates.
One
You lock
got the
this
arrow
in.
in.
You got a hand fine tuner over here. So if you're doing long distance, you just want to bring it over a little bit. There's a little fine screw on there. Rock it over. You got your elevation up and down on it. So I mean, this thing here take a boiler out on a steam locomotive.
Now, you're turning a crank. What exactly fires it?
Huh? This. Like I said, as this is rotating, you got a big, it looks like a roller coaster ride up here. It's a big ring, and it's got a groove, a slope, then it goes up high and it drops. And as we got 6 firing pins in this, 6 of them, 1 for each barrel.
Right.
So as it's riding, it's got a little prong sticking out, and as it rides up that groove, it pushes the chamber up in tight, and as it gets to that point and backs off, it fires the pin and drops the chamber.
So just by turning it over, it smacks into a pin.
Right.
That's pretty smart.
That is brilliant.
Gatling invented that.
That's like what they had on the Red Baron's plane when they
It's still
synchronized it
around.
with the
I mean,
propeller.
it's still good. That same design is still in use now. But now they put electric motors to it. It's the only difference. Now it's shooting tonnage per minute instead of this. It's the Vulcan.
Pretty smart.